Here we go. Tonight's learning is dedicated to the memory of Bilhah Bas Deborah Abraham. We're close to the end of the Maamer. Hopefully we'll make it all the way through. Maybe we'll need one more week. So just to take a quick moment to reset the table and understand where we're up to. Remember, this Maamer is based on a verse in the Torah that says, and you, and that the you pronoun is a reference to Moshe, to Moses, should command the Jewish people to bring to you the crushed olive oil to light up the luminary. And as we often do, we started to look at all of the different words in this verse and try to see what they could be signaling to us beyond just the instructional. And one primary question that the Maamer asks is, why does this seem to suggest that Moses is the commander and you should instruct the Israelites? Now, we don't think of Moses as the commander. We think of him as the one who relays God's commands to the people. And so we started to talk about a number of characteristics. One is about how Moses exists not only as the person, but as the primary characteristic within ourselves. It is a personalized Moses quality. Just as Moses brings the Torah down from Sinai, which is Shavuos, the Moses at the personal level brings the intellect down to the character, meaning we know something. Now, do we get excited about it, and then do we implement it? I might know that I should, save money, exercise more regularly, whatever good characteristic that I know of. Do I implement it into my character, and do I result in that behavior? So the Moses quality, the Moses metaphor, is as Moses brings the Torah down from Sinai, we bring down, using that sort of geographic image of an upright human being, we bring down what we know so that it inspires our character, our heart, and ultimately in our hands. We also talked about the relationship between the leader and the led. Now, the common understanding is that the great leader, Moshe, he inspires the people, he instructs the people, he teaches the people, he guides the people. But what do the people do for him? What about him as the leader? Or, again, back into the metaphor, we understand that the value of learning something is that I feel for it and I implement it. Meaning, if I take a course in kindness, but I'm not kind, I kind of miss the point. So saying I have a PhD in generosity and I'm very stingy, to say I'm academically fluent in all the laws of friendship, but I'm a nasty person, so I haven't brought the intellect into the heart. The question we're asking here is a little bit in the reverse. Does the heart, does the implementation, does the emotional side add anything to the intellectual side? So again, in the macro level, do the people add something to Moshe, or is he just there inspirer, teacher, guide, the one who instills the trust in Hashem within them? Or is it also that he is somehow touched, uplifted, and transformed by his experience in teaching the people? So, as you can imagine, of course, it's both. And this is what we're talking about here. So we have underscored that the crushed olive oil, which is referenced in the verse, becomes a metaphor for when a person feels that he is being squeezed. And we use two prime examples of this. One is the context of the Purim story, when there was the threat of total annihilation of every single Jew, man, woman, and child on one day. And the other is 1927 Soviet Russia. In fact, this week on Tuesday night is the anniversary of when the previous Rebbe, that is Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, was arrested by the communists and initially sentenced to death. And only through a miracle, a month later, was he released. He was initially, it was reduced to, quote, only exile, which was basically a death sentence anyway. And then he was released from Russia. No one could get out, and they kicked him out. So under those circumstances, people show great resilience. The Jewish people, under the threat of Haman, the previous Rebbe, and his students under the threat of communism. And what can happen is, if we're not careful, when we come to the liberated shores of America, we could get a little lazy. So how do we gin up that kind of resilience that is the product of oppression without oppression? We don't want to be oppressed. We don't want to be crushed in order to evoke this purity. we'd like to be able to do it without the external pressure. So how do we possibly achieve that? So we added that when a person reaches this level, we're talking here about Jews, when a Jew reaches this level of identifying the very essence of who he truly is, this is like touching that Moshe Rabbeinu quality that exists within each of us. So we continue in the Maamer that we can point out that through this, we also add not only in our own personal enrichment, it also contributes to a unity and a concern of one Jew for another, and by extension to the entirety of the Jewish nation. That the unity of the Jewish people is most effective when we reveal the essence of our neshama. That is, when we think about the unity of the Jewish people, we say, well, how can we have unity? We're all different. This guy likes the Cubs, this guy likes the White Sox, this guy's a Republican, this guy's a Democrat, this guy speaks English, this guy speaks French. How do we find a unity amongst the Jewish people? When we start to identify ourselves, and therefore we identify others by our essential identity, which is our neshama. So when I think of myself by my human characteristics, so I think of the other person by their human characteristics, some I like a lot. Some, it's a little bit of a challenge. But when I start to identify who am I truly, again, this sort of crushed level that evokes the essence of my soul, so then I see you at the essence of your soul. The essence of your soul is the same as the essence of my soul. And therefore, we can have unity. Therefore, the unity of the Jewish people is when we make our souls our primary identity, and we see our humanity, and I'm not just talking about our skeleton, but about all of our human characteristics as an expression, a tool through which our spiritual identity is manifest. So when we can reveal the essence of our identity, and comes to mind just a recent example, people remember of Daniel Pearl. We say, may God avenge his blood, who died because he was a Jew. His last words are, my parents are Jewish and I am Jewish. And that meaning that's how he was identified by the evil people who murdered him. And that's how he identified himself. When we see this, this is rooted in the very essence of Hashem himself. Through this, even the distinctive characteristics of each person, meaning this guy, like I said, is funny, and this guy is serious, and this guy is left-handed, and this guy is brilliant, and this guy is kind, and this guy is not so smart. These are all only the expression of our true identity. Who we truly are is our neshama. And therefore, when we start to identify ourselves by our neshama, it starts to manifest itself in every aspect of our character. Perhaps an illustration. Remember the story of Jonah, that when this tempest came and everybody was panicking and they were throwing everything they had overboard, they came to Jonah and they said, who are you and what is your occupation? Now, on the surface, that seems to be an odd question. There's a storm going on. What's the difference whether he's an accountant or he's an electrician? Why is this relevant? So amongst the many interpretations, they thought maybe he had committed a crime and he was running away. And that's why God was punishing them. So Jonah's response is, who am I? I'm a Jew and I fear God. That's who I am. Because in that moment, it doesn't matter if you're the librarian or you're the president. When there's a tempest going on, one's true identity becomes manifest. And that true identity doesn't make any distinction between his skills. His whole identity is an illustration of every aspect of his existence. So when we can do that, that is when we identify ourselves by our neshama, ipso facto identify you by your neshama, everything about me is a manifestation of my neshama, and therefore everything about you. I mean, there's a great bumper sticker. It says, dear God, please help me to be the person my dog thinks I am. Sometimes people compliment me and they think that every decision I make is based on Torah. I wish, Rabbi, do you like that tuna fish because it's in halacha? I wish I should be at that level. But essentially, this is the aspiration, at least, that we reach for. That everything about us should be an expression of our neshama, and therefore everything about everybody is an expression of their neshama, and therefore there is total and complete unity. Now, again, back to the idea that we describe the soul as a candle, based on a verse that says the candle of God is the soul of man. It is therefore consistent, and the idea that the candle is constantly burning. How? How do we keep it going? We keep it going when we get down to the essence. And this is an issue that, that the Rebbe has made a big campaign of. Stop identifying Jews by their affiliations. And we know that that's an easy way that we can identify people. What kind of Jew are you? You know what? I'm just a Jewish Jew. That's it. And if we can identify ourselves by the essence of our existence rather than by the distinctions, then we can truly bring about this type of unity that we are all hopeful for. And again, this is evoked by Moshe Rabbeinu. The Moshe Rabbeinu within ourselves, which again is the capacity to bring the intellect into the heart and into the behavior, like Moses brings the Torah down from Sinai, and the Moshe Rabbeinu and the collective, the great leaders who evoke people's devotion even under the threats of Haman and the threats of communism. How do they do that? They do it very much with an all hands on deck kind of mentality. There was a person that the Rebbe said to him that he should try to influence other people to put on tefillin every day. So the man was very honest. He said, Rebbe, I don't put on tefillin every day. So the Rebbe said, so therefore they should suffer? So meaning maybe also, so you'll put on tefillin every day. Meaning we need everybody. We need everybody. Aleph Beis, go teach Aleph. But I'm not a scholar. I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy. Well, you're not just a guy. You have a neshama. And that neshama is no different than the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, of the tzaddik, and so on. And when does this become most manifest? Unfortunately, can sometimes be manifest by oppression. Can we capture that same innate identity without having to be squeezed by somebody from the outside? So now we understand this idea that when we engage in the behavior, that is, we engage in this identity as Jews, even if it means defying Haman and defying Stalin, we are not only asserting our spiritual identity, we are actually enriching the Moshe Rabbeinu experience. Just like when you act, you have a greater understanding. I mean, I can teach you how to sew, but until you take a needle and thread, you don't really understand sewing. So we can all have the great ideas and we can even become emotionally enthusiastic. Till we'll implement it, we won't really have an understanding. So now the behavior is enriching the intellect. We think of the intellect enriching the heart and enriching the execution. And now we see that it works also in the reverse. When we do it, we enrich the emotion and we enrich the intellect. When we engage in the resilience, again, even against Haman and Stalin, we not only are personally experiencing our own essential godliness, we are contributing to the broader community and even to the great leaders through this consistency, even under the most difficult of circumstances. So we could add that this revelation of the essence of my identity, I'm a Jew, no matter what, is in a manner that that is a gift from Hashem to us. That is, Hashem has empowered us to stand up and say, I am a Jew, regardless of my imperfections. Meaning, when do we sometimes see this? Again, when there's challenge to it, when it's being oppressed. That's sometimes where it becomes most manifest, because it demands that we put ourselves on the line, like we explained much earlier in the Maamer we talked about. And again, sometimes when it's nighttime, when there's darkness, our godliness shines that much stronger, like a candle, which is certainly more noticeable. Its light is more impactful in the nighttime than in the daytime. Because what happens? We come to the shores of America where there isn't that oppression, and we can slip into couch potato. So what do we have to respond? That there's no difference. When the previous Rebbe came to the United States in 1940 to settle permanently, he had come in 1929 to visit, came to Chicago. And then in 1940, he came to America. So people, nice people trying to help him, told him, Rebbe, don't get your hopes up. It's not going to work in America. America is different than Europe, and Yiddishkeit and Hasidus it's not going to fly here. So don't worry, we'll get you a shul, you'll live out your life here, but don't get your hopes up. Now, they're not mean people. They're trying to let him down easy. The previous Rebbe said, America is not different. So everybody asked the question, what do you mean it's not different? You know, there's a war going on in Europe and you came to America. Because from his perspective, it's the same. I'm the same Jew when there's a war. I'm the same Jew in freedom. I'm the same Jew in poverty. I'm the same Jew in wealth. The Mishnah says that whoever fulfills Torah from poverty will fulfill it in wealth. And whoever ignores Torah in wealth will ignore it in poverty. Meaning, when a person says, I'd love to, but they don't love to, but if they'll do it when they're poor, they'll do it when they're rich. If they won't do it when they're rich, they won't do it when they're poor. Whatever excuse we can always come up with. Why? Because when it is that constant flame, so then the externals are not the determinant. So let's not become sort of dependent on oppression to squeeze out this pure olive oil. Now we can understand why it says that you should bring you, that is back to the original verse, you, Moshe, should instruct the Israelites to bring to you, that is, we bring to Moses, we enrich, behavior enriches understanding, the community enriches the leadership who enriches the people, this healthy interaction. And what do we bring him? The crushed olive oil for the source of light. That is, when the Jewish people are crushed, not necessarily because of oppression. We're not looking for oppression. We're trying to capture this enthusiasm without having to be squeezed. But the mere fact that we are not in our own place, we are in exile, we're not in our own place. This is the service that even when we are in the luxury, our service of Hashem will always illustrate the very essence of our identity. And it's a classic thing. I mean, I've had this discussion with people. I say, you want to put it on tefillin. Why should you put on tefillin? For the same reason why I put on tefillin. I'm a Jew, I put on tefillin. You're a Jew, you should put on tefillin. That's it. Not just because I can convince you and I can talk you into it and so on. You know, I've told you this joke before. I've done a few times, and not since COVID. I was invited to speak in some public schools. So they always ask me this question: why did you decide to become a rabbi? So depending on my mood, I either tell them I'm in it for the money, or I tell them I'm in it to meet women. Why? So because the point I try to make is, in Torah, everyone has to do all the mitzvahs. What's the difference? You guys have to go to work. Me, I get paid. This is my job. And like the Rebbe said, that a person should get smicha before they get married. So the idea is the rabbi has to do it. Everyone has to do it. This is very much the call of the Baal Shem Tov. Everybody has to participate. Why should this person like Shabbos candles? Why should anyone? Because you're a Jew. That's what Jewish people are asked to do by Hashem. Now, again, we not us, we're perfect, but we as a nation sometimes have vacillation depending on the circumstance. And again, nothing gets our gusto going like, God forbid, some anti-Semitism. And where are you that we don't need to be dependent on that? We don't need Haman or Stalin to inspire us. We can do it on our own. Why? Because the essence of our soul is rooted in the essence of God. And when that comes through and it manifests, then it shines that bright light. We're on the very end of it, so the summary. Now, as we say, again, back to the original verse, the Maamer always does this, in our Rebbe's Maamer, always circles back to the original. So the opening line, again, is based on the verse that says, and you, Moshe, should instruct the Jewish people to bring it to you. That is, that Moshe Rabbeinu should instructs us. What is the metaphor? That Moshe commands, that is, he bonds the Jewish people. He gives them the ability to identify who they are, to find themselves. He's not here to give them something. He's here to help them evoke something that already exists within them. We're not here to give anybody anything. They have it already. You have a neshama. You don't need me to give you a neshama. You don't need a rabbi or a teacher to give you. Only to help you identify what you already have. Like any great teacher, he doesn't try to impose his identity onto a student. He tries to help the student discover his own innate identity. And just like it was in Moshe, historically, in every generation, the great leaders, this is what they truly do. They help each person find their own identity. And what is the essence of a Jew's identity? It's his neshama. And that manifests itself in every aspect of that person's individuality. And through this, we will merit very quickly to the true and complete redemption, that godliness will be evident and revealed all around us. And this crushed olive oil will burn this bright light, not only in the conceptual idea, but literally we will light the menorah in the third Beis Hamikdash speedily in our days. Amen. We did it. We finished the whole book. Good job. Okay. Have a good night, everybody. I'll post the recording. Tomorrow night we'll learn some Parsha, and next week we'll find a new Maamer to start. Good night, everybody. Zag gesund, be well. We'll see you tomorrow night.